The rain was relentless that night, cold, heavy, and almost poetic in the way it drenched the city that never seemed to sleep. I remember standing at the edge of the dimly lit street, clutching the hem of my soaked dress, wondering how I'd gone from being an ordinary girl from a middle-class family to the secret wife of a billionaire's son. It had all started with a lie. When I met Ryan, I had no idea who he really was. He introduced himself as Ryan Cole, a marketing manager at a mid-sized firm. I was working part-time at a cafe while finishing my degree in architecture. He was polite, charming, and funny, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. We'd talk about everything: books, dreams, fears, the future. He loved that I never treated him like he was special, and I loved that he made me feel like I was. It wasn't until 6 months into our relationship that the truth cracked open like a secret too heavy to hold. His real name was Ryan Kingston, only son of Richard Kingston, one of the wealthiest men in the country. His family owned Kingston Holdings, a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. I remember the night he confessed it to me. He looked terrified, like he expected me to walk away. "I didn't tell you because I wanted you to see me for who I am," he said, his voice trembling slightly. I should have been angry. I should have felt betrayed. But all I saw was a man afraid of losing something real in a world where everything could be bought. So, instead of leaving, I whispered, "Then don't ever stop being that man." That night, he kissed me with a kind of desperation that made my heart ache. Months later, we got married in secret, a small ceremony at a quiet chapel on the outskirts of town. No guests, no photographers, just us and a pastor who didn't even ask for our last names. It was the happiest day of my life. But happiness borrowed from a lie never lasts long. At first, we managed to keep it hidden. He told his family he was traveling for business research, while I continued working at the cafe, pretending my life was ordinary. But secrets have a way of surfacing, especially when money and power are involved. The first to find out was his mother. She came to the cafe one evening, wearing a designer coat that probably cost more than I'd earned in a year. I recognized her instantly from the business magazines Ryan had once shown me. She ordered a black coffee and waited until I was free to talk. "Emily, isn't it?" she said, her tone sharp but calm. I froze. "Yes, ma'am." She smiled, thin, cold. "You're a lovely girl. But you must understand, people like us live in a different world." I didn't need her to say more. I understood the warning behind her words. When Ryan came to see me that night, he was furious. "She had no right to threaten you," he said. "I'll handle this." But he couldn't. His parents demanded he annul the marriage. They called me a gold digger, a social climber. His father even offered me money to leave him. I still remember the envelope he slid across the table, a thick stack of cash that made me sick just looking at it. "I love your son," I said quietly, pushing it back. "And if you think that can be bought, then I feel sorry for him." He looked at me like I was naive, like love was a luxury only the poor could afford. 4 weeks, Ryan fought for us. He refused to go back to the family estate, stopped attending corporate meetings, and started looking for his own place to live. But pressure from his family built like a storm cloud over us. The tabloids caught wind of the story, twisting it into headlines: "Billionaire's son marries waitress in secret." Suddenly, my face was everywhere. I couldn't even go to work without people whispering. Some called me brave, others called me shameless. I lost my job. My landlord asked me to move out because of the media attention. I felt my world closing in on me. Then, one morning, Ryan didn't show up. His phone went straight to voicemail. Hours turned into days. I knew his family had something to do with it. I went to their mansion, massive gates, manicured gardens, guards at every corner. When I demanded to see him, his father came out instead. "You need to let him go," he said coldly. "He's moved on. He's going abroad for a few months to focus on his responsibilities." "I don't believe you," I said, trembling. He smirked. "Believe what you want. But if you truly love him, you'll let him become who he's meant to be." That night, I cried harder than I ever had in my life. For the next 3 months, there was silence. No calls, no messages. I convinced myself that maybe his father was right, that maybe Ryan had realized love couldn't compete with legacy. Then, one rainy evening, I found an envelope slipped under my apartment door. Inside was a plane ticket and a letter. My love. I'm sorry for the silence. They took my phone, my passport, everything. I'm leaving tonight for London, but not by choice. I don't know when I'll be free, but I promise I'll come back for you. Don't lose faith in us. Forever yours, Ryan. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The pain of missing him burned deeper than I thought possible, but his words gave me something I'd lost: hope. Over the next year, I rebuilt myself. I found a job at a small architectural firm, saved money, and refused to let heartbreak define me. I learned that love isn't just about being with someone, it's about growing strong enough to stand without them, too. Then, almost a year later to the day, I saw him again. I was presenting a design proposal at a real estate conference when I spotted him at the back of the hall. He looked different, older, calmer, but when our eyes met, everything else faded away. After the presentation, he found me backstage. "Emily," he whispered, his voice breaking. I kept my promise. I wanted to be angry, to tell him how much he'd hurt me. But when he took my hand, every wall I'd built crumbled. He told me he had walked away from his father's company. He'd started his own business, one built on his own merit. "I don't want to live in a world where love needs approval," he said. Within a few months, we started our lives over openly this time. His family never came around, but strangely, that didn't matter anymore. We built something stronger than money, stronger than legacy. Years later, standing on the balcony of our modest home, watching the sunset paint the sky gold, I realized something: love doesn't always need the world's permission to be real. What matters isn't how grand your wedding is, or how rich your family might be. It's how deeply you fight for each other when everything else falls apart. And sometimes, the greatest love stories aren't the ones that start with luxury, but the ones that survive without it. Because in the end, real love isn't about the life you're given. It's about the life you choose, together. And I choose him, again and again, even if no one ever knew.